All right, guys, we are back in the shop. We're gonna be doing things a little bit differently. Today, I got the GoPro on my head because I don't have a ton of time. We're gonna start tearing off the head. It is 11 o'clock at night. I'm getting to this after the gym and after work. The plan for this video is to rip the head off. I'm gonna do as little edits as possible just to kind of show it in real time. And then once we get the head off, I'm gonna look at the footage. And if the footage is good, we'll continue using the GoPro. If it sucks, then I will switch to my good camera, which, by the way, a lot of people that make YouTube videos don't share what cameras they use for some reason, but this is my ZV-1. It's a full frame camera. Does a really good job if you guys have seen any of the previous videos. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna start ripping this head off of this thing, and hopefully I can get it done within an hour so I can get back in the house by midnight and not be out here all night. So the first things that I want to do is get this upper intake manifold off. I already started taking off part of the wiring harness. As you can see, there were some grounds here that I disconnected, and there were some grounds right here that went to this location on the intake manifold. Now, the way that I go about this, I typically will record a lot of this with my iPhone to just make sure that I know how everything goes back. But since I have a camera on my face, I'll definitely know how things go back. So I'm gonna start by taking off these 10mm bolts that hold this wiring harness to the back of the intake manifold, and then disconnect, or unbolt rather, this upper manifold and just start taking things off and see where we get. So this is gonna be my whole setup here where I'm gonna put all the engine parts. Let me get my camera stuff out of the way for you guys. A big part about doing engines is keeping things clean. When we're tearing stuff apart, not the biggest deal. When we're putting it together, huge deal. My grandpa, before he passed away, he used to race dragsters. He had a nostalgia eliminator, and he used to build engines in his garage. And he used to always tell me, and then told my dad, who told me as well, building engines is like, you know, being a doctor. You have to keep this kind of stuff operating room clean. So that's what we intend to do when we put this thing back together. All right, so I'm gonna pop off this bolt and do the same thing for this bolt here. Typically when I tear motors apart or take anything apart, for the most part, I put the bolts back where I got them from. So once we get this thing apart, we'll return these two bolts. We'll just put these here for now. And I know this is a really different style of video than what we normally do on this channel, where I'm kind of talking through it like this, kind of in real time. Let me know if you guys enjoy this, and I'll definitely do more of them. We got to pop off the dipstick, and the reason why it has a 8mm socket or whatever that is as a spacer is because this is a 1.5 JZ. So the whole block is an inch taller than a 1 JZ. So you got a 2 JZ, you got a 1 JZ. You have an 86mm stroke, and a 1 JZ is like a 70 something, where the block ends up being an inch shorter. That's the only real big difference between the two. All right, I just punched the camera. Don't know if that came through. I feel like I have something. Here it is. Well, you just put your stuff on a table in your shop and lose it all. And it's the wrong one anyway. All right, let's see if we can find the right Allen for this guy. We'll just take both of these over there, a 5 and a 4. One of them should be right. And this camera is right in the middle of my face. So if I ever am like reaching for things and not actually grabbing them, it's because I have a camera right in my central vision. So it's not the easiest thing to see here. It's actually 2 spacers. This one might be factory. I don't know, but this definitely isn't. It's a 7. Got a free socket. All right, let's put this back. We'll pop the dipstick out. Should just pull right out of there. This might leak, so I'm just gonna, I'll move that there. This might leak when I pull it out. Nope. Oh, because I drained the oil and I totally forgot that I did. Duh. All right, let's place the dipstick here on our disassembly area. Just put this 7mm over there. I'm gonna get my camera stuff out of the way before I start getting a very expensive camera very dirty. That doesn't seem safe, does it? I know it's a mess. And I'm literally walking over things to even get to the engine. Yes, I know. Okay, so diagnostic port has to come off. This will be a little clip. It should be. There we go. All right. That should allow all that part of the harness to snake through those runners there. This should be able to snake through. We got some things connected to all these vacuum pipes right here, but it's all on the upper manifold. The lower manifold's only like this long. So I think we're gonna start unbolting this. We got a bunch of 12s that hold it on. We're gonna need an extension. Where did I put that thing? Here it is. This is like the real world experience in the shop, just losing things left and right. All right. These might be different lengths, but we'll know since we are recording it, of course. Jeez. That thing is on there. No, not really. The battery's probably dying. This would be an absolute nightmare to do in the car. That's for sure. Swap this battery out. The harness kind of gets in the way of the socket here. Something just broke. Oh, part of the loom, which isn't a big deal. We're gonna re-loom all of this anyway and fix all the broken connectors and all that stuff. You see, when you take stuff apart that's old like this, you see that loom just falling apart? That's just standard. That's gonna happen. It's been in there since 1990. All right, we have a couple of these bolts out now. This is the one that was hard to get out. It's kind of rusty. We're gonna send off a lot of these to get zinc plated, so it's not a big deal. But I want to see if these are all the same length. And it looks like they are. All right. Got this guy. This one also looks like it's the exact same length. Nice. Okay, there's gonna be a couple more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there's one more, and it should be under this gigantic loom right here. I can see it right there. Oh, wow. Thing literally just started falling off the second. I expected it to get stuck to the gasket or something, or be like maybe like on a dowel or something, not just come off like that. I can't believe that did not fall in the oil. First time for everything. All right, let's make sure when we take this off, we're not snagging anything. So, oh, it takes off the upper and the lower at the same time. Let me show you guys, because I know the GoPro probably cannot show that, because these cameras suck. But if you look in there, we have the lower manifold here, where the injectors are. The upper manifold, see where it meets right there? It meets it like only 2 inches off of that lower manifold. Both are held on by the same bolts. I didn't know that. So we need to disconnect all these injector clips and everything right now. Put one of these back on just to make sure this thing doesn't fall off on me. Okay. Maybe put the other one on too, just to be sure. All right. And then we will start. Nothing is magnetic on this engine. There we go. One screw. We'll start taking off these injector clips, which I fully expect to shatter. At least that's how they were on the Land Cruiser. Replace every single one of these. I'm gonna definitely swap out or replace every single injector clip and all the harness connectors as we go through this. You can see this one's broken here already. It'll pull off without me having to pull a plug, as you can see there, or having to depress the clip, I meant, because it's already broken. All right. Get this one. There's one more. That one's broken too. You can see that. Maybe you can see that better on camera. The clip's broken right there on that gray one. So this will just pull right off. Just like that. All right, now we have our cam sensors. We have one here. Just kind of hard to get with one hand. Let me get both my hands here. Jeez. Well, we have another cam plug, or cam sensor plug here as well. Both of them are kind of hard to get off, hard to get your hand in there. That's something we might be able to get as we start taking off the rest of this manifold a little bit more. Maybe I could just see in there a little bit better. Getting stabbed by a zip tie. There we go. Got that one off. Just had to get in a position to be able to actually squeeze the damn thing. Try to get this one again. Sometimes you can push them back down to be able to push the connector better. This one's just kind of up there to get off. All right. I don't recommend this, but I might be able to push it with the screwdriver a little bit harder than I can with my finger. There it goes. All right, so harness is disconnected in the areas where it needs to be disconnected. We could probably take this thing off now, I think. How does this go through the middle? Well, that has to come off. Okay, well actually first this guy has to come off. A coolant line? I think that's a coolant line. Okay. Oh, that was the drawer. I just can't see it because the GoPro's in my face. Yeah, those work. If not, then I'll just take these. I know they're the wrong pliers, it doesn't matter. They smash things and remove them, right? All right. I am sure that has coolant in it still. Let's see. Oh, it shouldn't actually. Come on. Just trying to twist it to loosen it up here. There we go. Just a little bit. All right, anything else connected between these two? This looks like it might be. This solenoid here. Okay. Oh, I forgot that I put the bolts back on. I was sitting here like, why will this thing not budge? Well, because I put the nuts back on it, of course. Okay. We're connected up here by something. Oh, the bypass hose. All right. We're also dripping coolant, I think. This guy right here, this hose on the front. Another bypass hose right here. Comes from under the throttle body, like on a lot of Toyotas, and goes into the head. And that is preventing us from pulling off this upper manifold. Do the exact same thing that we just did. Which one's easier? This one's easier. Get that thing out of the way. By the way, I see a lot of people remove those constant tension clamps. Keep those things. They work a lot better than a worm gear clamp. They adjust to heat cycles. They like constrict and expand when they need to, instead of worm gear clamps that are just set at one position and can leak. So these kind of constant tension clamps are actually really good to keep on your motors. All right, we got nothing there. Nice. All right, before I forget again, did I put a nut back this time? No. Okay. All right. Oh, this whole harness, the whole thing wraps around the front of the engine here. I forgot about that. All right, so we have our coolant temperature sensor. That clip is broken. We have our sender here. How does that connect? Looks like we just press it. It's probably broken and holding itself on or something. I don't know. We'll come back to it. We'll get the rest of these first. All right, so this has to come apart. What just broke? The connector? Yeah, there's another connector that we have to replace. This has to come apart too. Man, I have a pair of connector pliers, but you guys know how it is. It's in the toolbox that's 10 feet away, so I can't go over there. It's too far. All right, then we go connect to our alternator. Of course, this goes down. What is this, the crank sensor? What is this guy? Yeah, that's our crank sensor. So this is just unplugged now, it can hang there. We're gonna need probably a 10 or 12 millimeter, a 12, to get that out. Have our actual alternator itself. Okay, we'll pop off that 12. Maybe it's a 10, we'll see. It's a 12. All right. Now this harness will be free. We really have to remember how this is all routed. This thing seriously snakes around everything. It reminds me of the Land Cruiser a lot, actually. These JZs and 1FZs are actually really similar. Well, that's gonna have to come off, so might as well pull that now. Get it out of the way while we're already there. This video can also be used, this glove is becoming nothing. This video can also be used as a guide for basically any engine on how to tear it apart and get it ready for the machine shop, because that's what we're gonna do in this video. We're gonna get this thing torn apart to the point where it's going to the shop. So, it doesn't really matter what you're building. It can be a JZ, SR, CA, RB, an LS, anything. You're gonna take it apart in a similar way. Of course, the LS will be slightly different, but you're still gonna strip it down to get it ready for the block. Oh look, of course it went everywhere but the pan. Yeah, whatever. Floor's coated, it won't penetrate the concrete. This thing is really stuck. How are you on there? How does the smallest connector give us the biggest problem? Oh, I see. The actual clip on the bottom of it's broken, so if we were to get a pick and push it through the center of that connector where the lock goes, we will be able to get that up pretty easily. Don't look at my organization here, it's terrible. Damn, it's bent, of course. This'll work. I think it will, at least. There we go. So basically, you're not going to be able to see us on a GoPro. I'll show you on this actual sensor itself. This is why I like using my good camera. But as I said, I just kind of got to do this and get it done tonight, guys. Sorry. See this little hole on this sensor? I just pushed this through it to push the clip that was locking it in place inside that connector. And that got it out. All right, so now we have our whole harness free. This thing on a JZ wraps behind the front timing cover, the plastic one, and then snakes into a million different areas. And now we have this. Also, it's supposed to connect to the head right here. As you can see, this harness, maybe you can, maybe you can't. I'll get the light. This harness is broken. You can see that right there. It would connect to the head. We can plastic weld a new ear on that so that it goes back where it's supposed to go. All right, enough rambling. Let's pull this thing off. I really don't know how you're supposed to get this off in the car. Like, how do you get your harness out in the car? I don't even think it's possible. We're still attached to one more thing. It's one vacuum line. All right, this guy right here is locking us. What do you need a vacuum line for power steering for? I'll have to look up a diagram for that to understand it. Or if you guys know, then let me know, you know. All right, upper manifold is off. This is not gonna go on the table, it's too big. Maybe I'll tear this apart more and get the harness out of there. I feel like I'm gonna step on that and smash a connector. I should really be careful. Yeah, I'm gonna move that. I'm definitely gonna step on it. We'll just put it up here on the table. Nah, I don't want to. I'll put it over here. Put it over here. This is real-time indecisiveness. Stay. Sure, that works. Okay. Have our gasket. We're going to replace that, of course. Our screws. I do want to put these, well, I'm not going to put them back in the head. I normally would, but we're going to go get this machine, so I'm not going to. So now we have our fuel rail here, our injectors, the little stays that keep it all in place. We're going to be upgrading all this to a top feed setup. These do not pump enough fuel for our power goals. We'll just set that here. I have no idea what this head looks like inside. The 1JZ was blown from detonation. That's why it has a 1.5 JZ in it. So I'm hoping that the bottom side of this head isn't terrible. We're about to find out. All right, so if you were watching the first video of this engine series where I pulled it out of the Supra, I already have the cams out, and that's because I was testing something. So I'll explain how you would normally take these cams out to get to this point, but just know the cams are not in this thing at the moment. So we're skipping quite a big step here, which is gonna make this seem like the head comes off really easy. And to be fair, it does. It comes off pretty easy, but we're definitely getting a head start because of what I've already done. There we go. That is a line that goes to the heater valve with part of the heater valve broken in it because this guy forgot to disconnect it. So this is what I'm talking about here. The heater valve broken, no big deal, but that's where that goes, and that's why I'm not even gonna label it, because it has part of the part where it goes broken inside of it, so we know where it goes. All right, let's get off the engine hooks next. Those are 14s, I believe. Oh, I forgot, I did say I want to put these back into the intake so I don't forget where they go. Yeah, I can't get to that right now. Well, I'll leave that one in there. I'll just remember this goes with it. I'll just keep all these intake manifold bolts together. All right. So, yes, I had to wipe my nose there, so sorry, I'm a real human. Okay, yeah, we're gonna pop off the valve covers after we take off the engine hooks. I had to remind myself where we were. It was 14s or 12s? 14s? Yeah. We're gonna replace these with nicer ones. Both of them are bent and they're kind of ugly. Not like I plan to be taking the engine out of this thing again anytime soon, but I don't know. I kind of like those little like engine bay bling upgrades. They're fun and they're cheap. So now we gotta pop these off. Do I have a screwdriver? I do. I just put a couple of screws back in these when I pulled the engine so that nothing got into the valve covers. And as I said, the cams are already out of these. All right, so I have a bag where I'm keeping all of these valve cover screws, all the way over here, of course, as far as possible. I'm keeping these here in my valve cover baggie. You can see I also have my cams over here, hood bolts, the motor mount bolts, all that stuff. We have all of our cam caps organized here on this piece of cardboard that's letting us know this is the front of the engine, that's the back of the engine, how they're ordered, exhaust and intake. We have it all here. We're gonna keep everything organized like that. I know things are kind of looking a little bit messy right now as we rip off that intake manifold, but it's an intake manifold. It's not anything that damn important, so it doesn't matter that much. So here we have a valve cover. I need to make some more room for stuff. To make more room, you just pile stuff in a different area, right? We'll put that, yeah, we'll take the valve covers off and put them somewhere else because I want the head to fit on that table. Figure this out later, doesn't matter. We'll just set these on this table for now. That'll be fine. No big deal. My wife's gonna watch this and start laughing and say how badly I need to clean things up, which is true. I get it. But I'm busy. I don't have time to be organizing right now. All right, we need to pop off the water neck. This is one of the things you have to change on a 1.5 JZ. See that longer water neck right there? This is common because, as I said, the block's an inch higher, so you have to run I believe a 2 JZ water neck. Or brands make extended ones like Chase Bays and all other brands make extended water necks for these. So we're gonna pop this off. That just pushes in with an O-ring. Yeah, so I think those are 12s. And that should come right off of there. Now, since I stacked all of this shit over here, I can't see where anything is. Here it is. If you didn't watch the first episode, I want you to know that I was told that this engine was just built and put into the car. And while it kind of appears to be that way, with how easy it's coming apart, the reason that it's out is because the head gasket is bad, and because everything that was done to this engine is entirely done in a rigged way, and the work is just super shoddy. So here's that extension. This does not look OEM, it looks like some nice aftermarket machined part. But yeah, these parts go together. So we'll just push them back together like that. And we'll definitely get everything clean this time around. We're not gonna be putting together an engine that looks like this thing came out of the ocean. All right, we're ready to pull the head. Let me talk to you guys about how this would normally go. And let me move this light so you can see better real quick. Because the GoPros are terrible when it comes to low light situations. So I want to make sure you guys can actually see this. Smash my finger in a light. Okay. So if the engine were in the car and it wasn't out of the car and you needed to do something where you had to pull the cams out, you would set your engine on top dead center of the compression stroke. You'd make little marks on your belt, like this yellow guy here and this yellow guy here, that would align with dots on your camshaft gears or sprockets, and you'd pull everything out in a way where you could put it back together the exact same way. When you are tearing an engine apart, it doesn't really matter that much. You're gonna time it when you put it back together anyway. But a big thing is making sure that you take the camshafts out in a sequence. You can't just zap these out with an impact, just here, 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 and here. Like a lot of guys, they're crazy with these damn things. Like every single second you just, and then bam. Not a good idea when it comes to camshafts. You can actually snap one in half if you do them that way. Depending on the engine, you need to kind of do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, you have to work your way in or work your way out. A lot of service manuals will even tell you certain ways to lay the camshafts in there to tighten them with the least resistance to minimize that chance of cracking or distorting a cam. It's the same way when you pull a head. When you pull a head out, or install a head, you don't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have to start in the middle and work your way out in an X pattern, or start from the outside and work your way in from an X pattern. You don't just rip these things off. So we don't have the cams in here. We already took it out, as you can see, of course, and our belt's already loose and our tensioners are already off. So at this point, all we really have to do is pull out the head studs. And I'll show you something with these lifters too, because those are also, or not those lifters, the shims are also specific. So I'm just making sure there's nothing else holding this head on, and it looks good. Doesn't look like anything would be. I do kind of want to pop off this oil line just to get it out of the way, but we'll focus on the head for now. Yeah, we're good. All right. Ports don't look terrible. Actually, for the intake, they look pretty decent. Let's look in there with the flashlight. Where do I keep putting this thing? They're not great. This one's full of fuel. Yeah, they're not terrible. Not bad. Not bad at all. All right, let's get this thing off. This hat is hurting my head. We're gonna clean up all of these shims and mark them. And these all need to go back in the same way, by the way. You can pull them out with a magnet. It'll pull the whole bucket out with the shim. Just make sure you mark them and do not flip your head upside down with these things in there, or you're going to be adjusting 24 valves when you don't know where the hell they go. And you're not going to be happy. Okay. What is this from? Oh yes, that's right. These go here. Now, I will also, before I send this to the machine shop, I'll pull all this hardware off. I'll take out these bolts for the 2 engine lift points. I'll take these back out. I'm just tossing them in there right now so I don't lose them. I'll take these out, which go to the front timing cover plastic. I'll take this off, which goes to the wiring harness clip. I'll pull off the cam sensors, of course, these 2 bolts as well. Just get anything off the engine that you want to keep. If you get it back and the machine shop didn't give it back to you, it's not their fault, it's yours. So get the things off of it that you don't want to go missing, that they don't need to machine your block or your head with, that don't give it to them. They don't need it. And if you want to keep it, then don't send it off with the part. All right, I'm pretty sure this is held on by 13 millimeter 12 point or ½ inch, which I brought one. Where did I put this thing? Oh, right in front of my eyes. It's because my vision's blocked by a GoPro, I'm telling you guys. All right, I don't know if a 1 or 2J wants it to be taken from the inside out or the outside in, but these are not as tight as they're supposed to be anyway, because I already had the engine apart, as I told you guys. In the actual car, I was messing with these, so it's not as big of a deal as it normally would be. But we're still gonna take them off in a star pattern. Another thing when you're building a 1J or 2J is you can't get these washers in there once the head is on. So you have to put the washers in the head before the head goes onto the block, which I thought was really interesting because there's no room. Okay, all those are loose. Now, when I take these out, I don't think this matters, especially because they're ARP head studs. But I'm gonna keep them, I'm gonna keep the nuts with the studs that they came from. The washers I don't care about. Okay. This is our front right. This will be our front left. We'll just work our way back from here. This light is getting in the way. But you guys can't see anything if I move it. I don't even know how this footage is gonna look or if this GoPro is even still on. I guess I should probably check. Oh, I see a red light on it, so I think we're good. And hopefully my microphone that I have hooked up to this thing is actually recording, because the GoPro audio quality also sucks, just like the video quality. Which again, I'm sorry guys that I'm kind of giving you a lower quality video here. Hopefully I can make up for it by just talking your ear off the whole time and showing you this process. I just really need to make progress on this thing, and I do not have time right now, being it's like 11:30 or 11:45 at night, probably at this point, to set up my nice camera and frame shots and everything else. It's a lot of work. I don't know if that comes across in the videos or if it's like understood if you've never tried to do it, but there's like a lot of work that goes into creating and editing these videos. So just kind of needed to not do that this time around. And again, this thing I'm doing here, I'm trying to keep the bolts together with the nuts, completely unnecessary. Or the studs. No, they're not bolts, they're studs. This is completely unnecessary. This is just me being OCD, which oftentimes hurts more than it helps, if I'm being honest. These are gonna have to move too, because this head is gonna be huge. Oh, that's convenient. Popped right out. Okay. This is the last one. This is the second to last one. Let's get everything out of the way as we get ready to pull the cylinder head off. We're just gonna set it right there. Should work. Yeah, should be no problem. This thing should just pop right off. There's nothing holding it at this point. Yep, it's gonna come right off. So I'm kind of tempted to pull the studs out right now too, so I don't have to lift it so high, but I guess let's get a feel for how heavy it is. It shouldn't be heavy, it's just a chunk of aluminum. Oh, yeah, nothing. Doesn't weigh anything. All right. Now, I can start putting back left and right. See what I'm talking? This is what I'm talking about. I go OCD on it, and now I'm like having to think about everything. These studs still have their assembly grease on them. That's how recently this thing has been done. Look how clean these cylinders are, because they're getting washed with fuel. Look like the OEM cylinders, right? BCB. Yeah, these have to be OEM pistons, I meant to say. Oh, I shouldn't put these on. I'm gonna have to pop the head gasket off anyway. Oh, Ricky, you're an idiot. We'll just do this. I can see where the head gasket's blown. I don't know if you guys caught that yet, but I can definitely see it. Head gasket is blown right here. Oh, never mind. I thought it was. I thought that was the gasket getting blown back. So the cylinder that we had the failure from on the leak down test, I can't remember if it was 5 or 6. I think it was 5. So never mind, I can't see where it's blown. I thought that peeling back was a crazy tear, but it's not. So another thing on the 1J and 2J hybrid engines like this is this oil port on the head's a big deal. When you have this guy down there, your sealing surface using a 1J gasket is not the best. All right. Okay, that's why a lot of people weld the heads up and get them re-drilled for the 2JZ, which I don't know if mine is already or not. I haven't looked at the bottom of it, but I guess it could be. All right, head gasket's off. Let's get this thing out of the way. Go put these back. Doesn't look like the head was, or the block was decked or anything when they built this engine. Looks like they just tossed it together. Look at that damage right there on that cylinder. That might be, it might not even be the head gasket. It could definitely just be the block surface. Look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera, but this is like huge pitting on the deck of this block. That has to be why it wasn't sealing. Stupid. Imagine seeing that. I'll pull out the good camera and I'll actually get a nice shot of that tomorrow. But imagine seeing that and putting it together anyway. It's unbelievable. I don't know how you get into that mindset, but I don't have the ability to do that kind of shit, and I just don't. That's crazy. All right, well, that's gonna be it for popping off the head. The last thing I would do here, as I said, is I'm gonna pull off all of the hardware that's on the head still, like this bolt and all the bolts and everything, the hoses and all that stuff. I'm gonna pop all these out of here with a magnet, which, as you can see, just get a magnet like this guy here, pop the bucket right out. And I'm gonna mark all these. So this is the exhaust side. It would be, I'd put on this one, I would put an E. So I would do E1, E2, E3, E4, so on. Same thing with intake side, and keep everything very organized. You gotta make sure you take those out. Do not flip your head upside down with those in there. And tomorrow, we'll come back out here and we'll take a look at everything with the good camera and see where we're at. It's the next day. I wanted to stay out here last night and keep tinkering with that motor, but I know myself, if I stayed with it, I would have been out here till like 4 a.m. and I would have got no sleep for work the next day. So I want to show you guys what's going on with the deck of that block and what my plans are moving forward. All right, so here's the deal. When you build an engine and you use especially a metal head gasket, you're supposed to surface the deck of the block, that's the top of the block here, in some way. With metal head gaskets, you really should resurface the block. If it was a standard head gasket, I think they're made out of graphite or something similar, you can just get away with sanding the block very levelly and smooth. But with metal, really needs to be a perfect surface. And as you can see, when this guy put this engine together, this is not a perfect surface. It's anything but. This pitting on the deck here is not going to allow a metal head gasket to seal, and it's not insignificant. That's pretty significant pitting right there. We're probably gonna have to shave like, I don't know, 5-6 thousandths off this block, and that's gonna bump the compression ratio up. We already running a 1JZ head on a 2J block already bumps the compression ratio up. So I think we're just gonna take apart this VVTi block instead. If that one's junk too, then we're gonna go back to the 1JZ, which does have a nice deck on it already, but I think that one's probably gonna be fine. So that is the plan right now, because this thing is, I mean, it's just completely junked. It's just, yes, we could use it. No, I don't want to. And at this point, I just kind of want to get away from the previous owner and the things that have been done to this engine. I just want to get away from it and start fresh with that. not really fresh. One other thing I want to show you guys is the head gasket. Big thing that gets brought up is what head gasket to run on a 1.5 JZ. And I could not find any good information online, at least nothing from like the past 5 years, about why you might want to do the oil mod on the 1J head. So what people do is they weld shut the oil port on the 1J head and they re-drill it to fit the 2J head gasket. And this is probably the reason why. So this is a 1J head gasket right here, and you can see the oil port for the head actually lines up pretty well with the block. But do you see this ear on the 1J gasket right here that comes off the side of it? Well, that matches up perfectly to the 1J block. Same ear right there. The 2J block does not have that. So what you're left with is on this basically recessed area of the gasket you can see there, only the raised area is your sealing area of that gasket. You might be able to compress this thing enough when it's tightened down. But so if you follow the block, you can tell only a little teeny tiny bit of that, and you can see it on the back of the gasket. Only that spot that has the line is going to be what is sealing. So there's a chance you would have a massive oil leak using a 1J gasket on a 2J block with a 1J head. We didn't have a leak, but some people have, and that's why they weld it up and use the 2J gasket. So unfortunately, the deeper and deeper that we dig into this Supra, the more and more problems that we find and the more things that I discover that I was potentially lied to about. And you know, it's unfortunate. You expect people to be truthful, but this is just the reality of the world that we live in, unfortunately. Now, I did plan on fully tearing down the engine in this video. I wanted to tear apart the block, pull out the pistons, rods, crank, and all that, but I just reviewed the POV footage. It's like 58 minutes long already at this point. So we're just gonna call it here, and then in the next video, we'll do the rest of it. So give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Let me know if you like this POV footage. I'd love to do more of it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.